Good evening. Well, it's barely evening. I'm a little bit early this evening. My name's Conboy, and this is my letter from the light side. The inspiration and guidance that comes from those who inspire and guide me, and hopefully that will help you to make sense of what's happening. If that's at all possible, and to give you a little bit of a heads up for the week ahead. So, rather randomly, I'm earlier than normal. So, if you're used to watching me live and you missed me, I'm really sorry. I hope you'll watch me on catch up. If it's the perfect time for you, fabulous. That's what was meant to be. And if you're still watching on catch up in a few days, that's absolutely fine. I do hope that you can take some of the information that I need to give you and that it will apply. And right now I'm just being reminded, plug my iPad in because occasionally things die. The battery suddenly goes flat. It's not always about Mercury retrograde. Let's just clear that out of the way. Sometimes it's the thing that happens. So, well, we've had some really interesting planetary activity. We've got stuff going on in terms of retrogrades. We've got all sorts of things happening in the heavens. And of course, we've had a very strong full moon in Scorpio with an eclipse. So you might have been finding that you've been overwhelmed with the truth. I want to do that. Certainly inside, the inner work has been very, very front and centre. So you might have found yourself more emotional. You might have found yourself rather exhausted with it all. You might have found yourself kind of wanting to pull the covers over your head and say, go away, world, I could do without you. And you might have found things were getting muddled because your communications maybe haven't been as clear because they're coming from a different part of you than normal. And again, there's quite an energy with this alignment about inner child and nurture and soothing. And so I do want to say to you, if you haven't had a chance to give yourself a bit of nurturing, give yourself a bit of looking after you, then you really, really do need to do it, because by now you'll be exhausted. This energy is not easy to deal with, especially as it's impacting our inner sense. Now, that does it does manifest outwards. What we have inward is what is expressed outward. So your world comes into alignment with the energy you feel inside. So if you are feeling muddled inside, you'll find your world is muddled outside. I'm sorry, I'm being told off. I should have said that I'm speaking on behalf of Rafe. I'm getting into trouble with him because I didn't say who was here, but that's who it is. My lovely guide Ray, who loves doing these, he's the reason I do Letters from the Light Side, because when he stepped in, he said, we're going to go and we're going to get you doing lives. And I was like, oh, no. And now I live stream on YouTube and Facebook. So he wants you to sort of see that if you're unsettled inside, it's going to be out there in the world unsettled too. And one of the key things about feeling unsettled is actually we're picking up intuitively on the energy that's around us and the fact that our world is in a state of change. I know that we as human beings have been trained to think that everything has to be under control, everything has to be in patterns that we can handle. But the reality is it doesn't have to be in patterns that we can handle, because it very rarely is. We have patterns to help handle ourselves, but life is full of the unexpected. as well as the repetitive, but there's a lot of unexpected in there. And sometimes the repetitive patterns end all of a sudden because the unexpected happens. So, what Rafe wants to bring today is that recognition that if we're in a muddle, our outer life's going to be in a kind of muddle. And we crave, as human beings, not the spirit, but the human being craves order of some sort, consistency. If you think about what we try to give to little children, we try to give them consistency, order. We try to encourage them to understand things can happen in a kind of repetitive way. And what we sometimes forget is to teach them the resilience of the unexpected, that life could be different in if tomorrow we get up and something's happened, life can be different. So what Rafe is wanting you to understand with this particular week's energy that we've just been going through, it's an opportunity to help the child within you to actually feel comfortable in uncertainty. That's what Rafe. I'm laughing at what's been happening to me with this week. That's what Rafe wants to help us to have, is that whatever the uncertainty outside of us, we actually have an opportunity to be certain inside of us, certain that we are we have skills and abilities that will help us to survive, things that will help us to make life feel good or to find the joy in life. We can switch our focus. We don't have to focus on the stuff that we can't do anything about. We can focus on the stuff we can do, and that can make a massive difference in how we feel about our lives. So you might have found that this week you've been having quite a few distractions. It's as if somebody's been shouting at you, hey, look over here, this is what's happening over here, taking you away from what's happening over there, because you can deal better with what's happening over here. And the secret, Ray says, is not to get cross with yourself for being distracted, but to go with that beautiful flow of energy. He knows I've just spent a couple of hours in the garden, really enjoying myself, putting plants in, kind of distracting myself from the uncertainty of life. Because, yes, there are lots of things we've got to maybe understand, maybe we've got to change, maybe we've got to tackle, but I don't have to do it right now. I can have 2 hours in the sunshine in the garden planting plants, because the world will still go on. Me getting drawn into dramas and distractions that cause anxiety or fear or uncertainty actually aren't going to help me. But what will help me is if I go and plant my plants and I sit back in my garden and go, oh, it looks lovely here. The rest of the world's going on, absolutely. And maybe I've got things that I need to tackle or deal with. But right now, I can just have the joy of the moment. And that's what Rafe's asking you to think about and to continue doing, because we haven't finished. I hate saying this. I hate it when he says it to me. Anyway, we haven't finished with the energy that's been created by this full moon. We're going into waning moon, and you might also have found, as a result of the stuff that's happening inside and the realizations and those kind of light bulb moments, that you have to make changes. You have to clear the clutter, whatever that clutter may be. It may be physical, it might be that you need to sort and organise. I'm a bit of an organiser for my books that all being in order, and when they're not and they look chaotic, I'm like, oh. But that's because I like to control the small things that I know I can control, and let the stuff I can't control get on without me. Distraction. Exactly Rafe's point. So whether it's organising the books on your shelf, whether it's changing your furniture around, whether it's sorting your wardrobe, whether it's having a look at what thoughts make me happy, what thoughts make me feel fearful or sad, whether it's looking at what emotions I'm not wanting to look at. Remember Scorpio and secrets, and finding my own hidden agendas, never mind anybody else's hidden agendas, finding my own hidden agendas, because there's bits of me don't agree with the bits of me that are existing now. So working through this energy by allowing yourself to create this sense of I am in control, which reassures the child in me, but I am not rigid and I am not stuck. What I'm able to do is to take each uncertainty and be comfortable with it and go, yeah, right, that's fine, and allow it to create a calmness in me. You know, there's something Rafe always, he used to witter on at me, and I used to go, I don't get it, I don't get it. He used to sort of say to me, you will be calm when you don't get out of plunter, you don't get lost in the uncertainty. And I used to go, yeah. But he's right. Because I accept there's uncertainty, and I often don't know what I'm going to be doing from 1 minute to the next. I make plans, I have a diary, I have a schedule. Of course I do. And then it doesn't go to plan. But because I'm kind of right, well, whatever, something better must be coming along or something interesting. It actually makes me very comfortable with the uncertainty, because the end of it is what it keeps reminding me. Everything generally turns out as it should. We forget that. We're intuitive beings, so we can read the energy and we can sense the turbulence. But what we sometimes forget to plug into is that sense underneath of everything will be fine. There's a strong flow of loving energy that kind of goes, don't worry, it'll be fine. And we forget to kind of dig deep and get into that energy. And that's what the distraction helps us to do. Go away and do something that we can do, and then the other stuff will sort itself through in the end. It'll come to its natural conclusion without us needing to think once, twice, or 3 times about it. So Rafe would love you to see this last week. Oh, the cats are arriving. To see this last week as recognising what makes you feel uncertain, recognising what helps you to deal with or to cope with uncertainty, and recognising that if you can deal with the inner stuff that's going on, the outer world realigns itself. Because, as I've just said, it's not finished yet. We've got these energies running for quite a considerable time. So in the coming week, there is going to be more uncertainty. He would encourage you to step back from the fear mongering and the scare tactics. Fear is an energy, and if you give out fear, you get back fear. If you hook into fear and get into that and let the fear distract you, then you stop recognising that generally everything will turn out okay. Now, that doesn't mean everything will turn out perfect. It doesn't mean that every life will be totally resolved like a magic wand, and there'll be no more division, and there'll be no more arguments, and there'll be no more fear and hatred. We're on a spiritual journey with where we are as the human race right now, and those are the things we've created, and those are the things that keep coming in to show us what we're creating when we don't deal with how we feel inside, when we don't bring that spirit within further forward and try to work on the unconditional love, the unconditional forgiveness, the unconditional gratitude, and the unconditional service. Those are what the Earth's archangels talk to me about as the 4 pillars of the angelic realm. That is what our lives could be based on, but we have to work towards unconditionality first. So while we are in turbulent times where things feel uncertain, life feels insecure, life feels at risk, what we can do is we can remind ourselves that there are things that we can use to help ourselves. We have still got a very powerful energy of truth being revealed for certainly the next 3 months. Truths hitting home, truths being revealed, recognition that what we believe is so isn't actually so, understanding that we've assumed that things are one way when in fact they're not that way at all, and facing up to and dealing with our own divisions, because we're divided within more often than not. So we're divided without, and there's a lot of them and us and other, argument or taken against others at the moment. So we've still got lots of truth to come in. So it does mean that we're going to have to accept as much as we can of that uncertainty and remain as calm as we can, that the flow is positive. What we will get to is the good stuff, whatever that good stuff represents to us. What I do need to say about next week is that it's highly charged and emotional, because we're in a waning moon and it's time to release and let go and recognise where we're holding ourselves back and recognise that we can't hold on to everything. Sometimes we have to hold on to our positive memories, but that's the only thing perhaps I would suggest, or Rafe would suggest, you hold on to, because everything else is in a state of change, and who we are as a human race, emerging as a human race, is very different than who we were. And we will get there in the end, but we might find that we wobble about getting there, but we will. So I do want to say there's a lovely flow of positive energy, particularly noticeable from Friday afternoon right the way through to Tuesday morning. There's a real blast of positive coming in. We have Ascended Masters working at the minute with the angelic realm to try to boost us, to bring us the upliftment, to help us to make things happen, to help us to make these changes within us that then will show outwardly. So Ray's asking you to look for the positive. Focus on that positive. Don't focus on it's uncertain. Focus on what is certain. I am here. I can love me. I can care for me. I can be good to me. That is the certain. I can treat me in a positive way. If I treat me positively, then I will then be able to treat others positively, and to build that sense of positive about yourself to help yourself with the turbulent energy. Yes, you will find that doubt comes in, particularly on Wednesday. You might be getting very doubtful. You might feel a bit flat. But remember, we're bringing it to the surface, Rafe says, to release it. Release the doubts. Just send doubts to the universe, and your loved ones in spirit definitely will help you to look at the doubt and then stop doubting. Okay. So, I know that Rafe is sending all his love. I know that the Earth's Archangels are sending all their love and support. We are making huge progress, and every single intuitive person who is able to tune in and to hold that calm steadiness within, to show people how to cope with the uncertainty, to help people to understand life is uncertain, but we are going to live it to its full. That is amazing. And Ray thanks you for everything that he knows all of you do. Everybody who watches, everybody who passes this on in whatever they say or their messages or whatever, or to other people, he knows it makes an enormous difference. So he's very grateful that you take time to watch the recording. He's telling me, wind it up. So I'll be back next Thursday at my normal time next week. Unexpected happens, so that's okay. Uncertainty, we're living with it. We can still do what we need to do. Have a great week. Let it go. Release. Send it away. You don't need it anymore. Bring in the new. Bring in the fresh. Tap into the love. Take care, everyone. Bye. Bye.